Mobs are a fundamental part of Minecraft, creating danger, excitement, and practicality to the game. Some are helpful, some are trying to kill you, and some are completely useless. In this video, we are going to be trying to find the most useless mobs that have ever touched the face of Minecraft, starting with the armadillo. The armadillo spawns in the Savannah and the Badlands biome, and was recently added back in 1.20. When a new player finds one, it's initially exciting. You don't know what it is, and so you kill it to see what it drops. And it drops nothing? Well, they do drop some XP, but that's not the purpose behind the armadillo. This is because the armadillo is key for getting armor for your dog. By using the brush, you are able to get scutes, which can be crafted into armor that makes your dog extremely overpowered. You can breed armadillos using spider eyes, but I don't see any reason why someone would need more than one of these guys, since one armadillo produces unlimited scutes. After you get dog armor, there isn't much use for the armadillo, but this one feature makes them still an extremely useful mob. The next mob that came to mind when I was thinking about useless mobs was the dolphin, because it doesn't drop anything unique when it dies, although I quickly remembered how useful they actually are. Aside from just being a fun mob in general, the dolphin gives you an effect when you swim with it, called Dolphin's Grace. This effect makes you be able to swim extremely fast, which is really helpful both early game when exploring the ocean and late game when building fast transportation methods. But this isn't the only use for the dolphin, because if you feed a dolphin a fish, it will actually lead you to the nearest shipwreck. This is a somewhat forgotten feature that can actually come in really handy when trying to find new armor trims or if you're just looking for some loot. The next mob that I thought of for being useless was the nitwit. If you don't know what this is, it's basically an unemployed villager which will stay unemployed forever. What is even the point of this guy? And there is no benefit to having this guy over any other villager in the game. I was gonna put this guy closer to the top of the list until I realized that a villager doesn't have to trade to be useful. You could breed these guys with normal villagers to give you a 50% chance of getting another normal villager, or you could just accidentally breed more nitwits. But if you don't need to breed more villagers, you can always force them into an iron farm to produce unlimited iron. So yeah, he's useful. The pufferfish spawns in the warm and lukewarm oceans, usually in groups of 1 to 3, and are considerably rarer than the tropical fish that they live around. The pufferfish is known for its unique trait of blowing up into a balloon and damaging the player when it gets too close. If you kill a pufferfish, you might be tempted to eat it, but that probably isn't a great idea since it poisons you. A pufferfish does have a 20% chance of dropping bone meal, but the low drop rate combined with the overall rarity of the mob means that it probably isn't a great way to get bones. It's a common belief that the pufferfish is useless. However, the pufferfish actually has a surprisingly wide range of uses. Firstly, you can brew a pufferfish into a water-breathing potion, which allows you to explore caves and monuments where you otherwise would have to place doors everywhere to avoid drowning. As well as brewing, the pufferfish can actually be traded with villagers for emeralds, even though it probably isn't worth your time considering how hard they are to find. But that isn't all the pufferfish can do. Because of its rare trait of expanding when a player comes nearby, means that it's a really helpful mob in combination with redstone. By setting up a tripwire next to a pufferfish, you can automatically trigger a redstone door or even a trap when a player walks by. But the uses keep on coming because in the recent update of Minecraft, the Nautilus was added to the game, which needs pufferfish to both tame and breed it. But none of these uses come anywhere close to the most useful thing about the pufferfish, because the pufferfish is the key weapon in the competitive game mode of PvP titled Pufferfish PvP. So yeah, it's not exactly a popular method of PvP, but it's a method nonetheless. And so I scratched the pufferfish off the list and continued searching. When making the list, I tried to avoid adding hostile mobs, since they aren't meant to be useful to the player. Instead, they exist to add danger, fear, and a challenge to the game. But not every hostile mob succeeds at doing that. and that's where the silverfish comes in. Silverfish spawn in various places, like in igloos, trial chambers, and even the fake end portal room in woodland mansions. However, you're probably more familiar with them in strongholds, since that's where they're encountered the most. The silverfish can appear either from spawners or when infested blocks are broken. When you attack a silverfish, nearby infested blocks will automatically break and spawn more silverfish, making them multiply as you fight. Silverfish are some of the most widely disliked mobs in Minecraft, mostly because of their tiny hitboxes, which makes them really hard to hit even though they're everywhere. On top of that, they don't drop any items when they're killed, and they pose very little threat to a player who's probably got plenty of food and armor, making them feel more annoying than dangerous. However, the silverfish still does drop a small amount of XP when you kill it, meaning that you could theoretically make a silverfish farm from the spawner in the portal room. But its inconvenient placement, combined with the fact that any other spawner is better for XP, means that it isn't really something that any player should have to do. But something was added to the game recently that allows for an XP farm that rivals some of the most efficient methods out there. In a tricky trials update, the potion of infestation was added to the game. When a mob with this effect gets damaged, it has a 10% chance of summoning 1 to 2 silverfish, and we can use this to our advantage. If we put a campfire under a bunch of allays, they will constantly take damage, but they won't die because they regenerate health faster than they lose it. This means that the allays will spawn hundreds of silverfish, and by building a collection system, we can make this into an XP farm, which can produce over 40 levels in just 3 minutes. That being said, the potion of infestation only lasts 3 minutes, but it's simple to brew and it's easy to mass produce. The next mob on my list was the endermite. These guys have a 5% chance of spawning every time you throw an ender pearl. And honestly, it feels like a really random feature just added to try and nerf the ender pearl. However, while the endermite is a bit random, they do carry a unique trait. Endermen hate these guys and will do anything to try and murder them, even if it means jumping into a hole, which ends up killing them. The endermite is the key mob for one of the most OP farms in Minecraft, the enderman farm, which makes getting XP no longer a problem, making things like enchanting gear much easier and faster. The next mob I thought of was the parrot. They look good, but that's all they really have going for them. They don't drop anything useful, they can't fight mobs, and they don't help you progress through the game in any way at all. They can sit on your shoulder, which is kinda cool, except every time you drop down a block they fall off. They don't give you any advantages, they don't even drop XP, and you can't even feed them cookies. Parrots are completely useless. At least, that's what I thought. It turns out parrots have a unique ability that I completely forgot about. If there are any monsters around, they mimic their sounds, giving a warning that can actually be really helpful if you're mining, or if you're wondering if it's safe to go outside. And they also dance to music discs, which is my favourite feature. When searching for any other mobs that could be considered useless, I started looking at the baby variants. This is because they don't often drop loot or XP. But I was hesitant to pick any of the baby mobs because I thought it would be unfair since they all eventually grow up. But I was able to find a couple baby variants that actually never grow up. And from these mobs, I thought the baby hoglin was the most useless. The baby hoglin spawns in the nether and isn't really supposed to be challenging to fight. They do attack the player, but it deals half a heart when you're wearing no armor. And as soon as you fight back, they run away, making them not really dangerous unless you happen to be standing over a pool of lava. While there isn't really a use, it's supposed to create chaos and excitement, rather than offering direct benefits to the player. And so I continued looking for the most useless mob. The ocelot spawns in the jungle biome and is relatively hard to find. They don't follow the player and they don't even drop anything when you kill them. Most players will find one in a jungle biome, watch it run away into the bush and then never interact with it ever again. For a mob that's been in the game for so long, it feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. You used to be able to tame these guys with a fish to get a pet cat, but that was removed back in 1.14 when cats were made to naturally spawn in villages, and ever since then no one has really paid attention to these guys. They do have a unique trait of being able to survive any fall, which is cool, but it isn't actually useful. But I think I might have found a use for these guys. When building a creeper farm, you would usually find a cat, tame it, and sit it inside. This is because creepers are scared of cats, for whatever reason. Anyway, because the ocelot is a type of cat, it does the same thing. They're 100 times harder to get inside, and there's no real reason to use these guys instead of a normal cat. But it's still possible under specific situations to use these guys, and it's enough to give ocelots at least some value in the right situation. I think the bat is the strongest candidate for the most useless mob in Minecraft. They don't drop anything, and you can't breed them. They don't interact with players, and they don't even seem to avoid danger. They just fly around caves randomly until they eventually die in lava. Their only purpose is atmosphere. Bats make caves feel more alive and realistic, but beyond that, they provide absolutely no benefit, and there's no hidden mechanic, no secret use. They exist purely for the sake of existing. That being said, the bat still does have a purpose, as do all the mobs in Minecraft. It brings life and fun to the game. The bat just happens to be at the bottom of the list. If you liked this video and want to see more like it, feel free to like and subscribe. This video took an unbelievably long time to make, and I appreciate the support. Thank you.